This is Tim from Tabletop Terrors, and I'm letting you know that we are starting a Patreon. If you want some of the content that we create, this Patreon is for you. But if you want to learn to be a game designer, if you want to learn how to write RPGs, design and develop mechanics, then this is definitely for you. And if you want to ask us a very specific pointed question and get a detailed, in-depth answer, very long, very specific answer to your direct question, this Patreon is for you. What you're going to see in this video is the second tier, the Workbench. You're going to see me actually going through the raw nitty-gritty of formatting a document, teaching you how to create a document so that it looks beautiful, even in Google Docs, so that other people will read it. What I'm working on is what we call a Tabtarian chunk that James wrote. You'll get that also. So this is just an example. We wanted to show you what we're about here on our Patreon, and this is just the beginning. Click below if you want to check out the actual Patreon, and we invite you to become a patron. You're Tabtarian, we're Tabtarian. Let's do this together. Let's finish some projects, and let's be creative. Thanks so much. All right. Hello, patrons. So I'm Tim, and I am 1/3 of Tabletop Terrors, and today we're going to talk about some formatting. So the first thing I want to say and get this out of the way is I'm not in the mood to do this. And I don't say that to be snarky. I say that because that's like a third or more of getting this stuff done and being successful is you schedule out the time when you're going to do it, and then you do it, even if you're not feeling it. And I don't say that because I want you to think, oh wow, I don't want to color this Workbench, but I do want to let you know, because this is supposed to be like gritty, behind the scenes, exactly what we're feeling, not doctored up. And right now, I actually want to be working on something else that I'm inspired to do, but I'm not going to. So I am going to crack open an energy drink. I will probably do a toast at the end. But James made this Tabtarian chunk, and I loved it. I just read through it. And what we're going to talk about today is formatting. So even if you don't have InDesign or another program like that, or even Microsoft Word, I'm using Google Docs. I'm going to show you just the importance of making whatever you write look attractive, because people are going to judge it at a glance before they read it in many cases. And so the information can be very good, but if you're using a font that isn't easy to read, or if the formatting makes it difficult to understand, then people will, in general, they'll bail on it. They won't give it as much of a shot, or they'll leave it and try to come back later. You don't want any of those things, right? So I am going to make some changes that I haven't discussed with James, because I know that I can go ahead and in Google Docs, let me see if you can see this part. I wanted to center the document. So anyway, on the top left, you can't see it. It's one file bar over, but I want to hit File, and then there's something that says Version History, and then I'm going to hit Name Current Version. In fact, I can probably slide the window over just for that, just for the sake of this for right now. So here, File, Version History, Name Current Version, and I'm going to say Before Tim. The reason why I'm doing this is because I want to be able to give James the opportunity to revert back to this easily without having to see what changes I made. Google Docs change, it logs all changes. And so if he sees this and is like, oh, this is the worst, he can just go back with the click of a button. So let's go ahead. I'm going to move this back over here. So with formatting, what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on fonts. We're going to work on splitting it into columns. We're going to add a little bit of color and a little bit of graphics. And I'm going to show you how, by just doing a couple of those things, a few of those things, you're able to up the production quality of your work without having to have any sort of a major budget. All right, let's see here. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is, there are a lot of different fonts that are available in Google Docs. And so most of them you have to add on. So I don't know exactly what font we're going to use, but we're going to kind of look. So this is a title. So if you go up here into fonts, see here where it says the A with the plus sign, it says more fonts. What you can basically do is go in here And then Google pulls up this list of a ton of different fonts. And so I don't know what fits Tabletop Terrors. I kind of want it to be, I'm just going to go with this because it looks good at the moment. So let's do that. Yeah, I kind of like that. So this is actually going to be the title. So it's going to be bigger. And then I go back in here and choose my, right? So now I have this Jose Fin Sands, which I think is a riff on San Jose, which is kind of funny. But in addition to fonts, I want to show you colors real quick. So here, taking this, you have your text color and your highlight color. So your text color, let's go ahead and make that like a nice sort of, I don't want to make it too vibrant because if I choose this red, that actually kind of hurts the eyes. And it draws way too much attention to the title. You want it to stand out, but you don't want it to be something that distracts. So I'll probably go like middle. See how much of a difference that makes? It's just a little bit less saturated, but it makes a big difference. This is bracketed text. We're going to go over that in another video, but basically you put that in as a placeholder before, so it doesn't stop your writing process. You can just put in brackets, and in this case it says handshaky introduction to what this is, and that's letting us know that, hey, I'm going to put an explanation first, but I want to get into what's inspiring me now. Now, for here, I haven't chosen a body text. I've chosen what my header text is, so let me go ahead and replace all my headers, or headings, or whatever you want to call them. All right. And then we'll replace our color. And the reason why it's important to learn this also is because when you do actually, if you decide to publish this stuff, there is a format that's sort of expected and accepted in terms of a title. See, like right here, this is a heading 2. Technically, this should be a heading 1 because it's coming after the title. Technically, it should be a heading 1. And then any subheadings under that would be heading 2. And so I'm going to change that, make it Jose Fin, give me my color. Okay. Already you can see, and that's as simple as that sounds, just a couple of font changes and a couple of color changes, and already this document's starting to look a little more than just a Google Doc, and that's what we're going for. Now I need to choose body text. Body text has to be very easy to read. I chose a kind of a whimsical font for this. It seemed a little Tabletop Terrors-ish. But for this, I can still go interesting, but I try to keep it with what's called a sans serif, which means it doesn't have these little lines on the T and the N and stuff. You see there's no extra lines on the letters. So sans serif is what I tend to go for. It looks a little modern. It looks a little current. It's very readable. So I'm going to go up here, A+, more fonts. And then let's just kind of see what we have here. This is an example of a sans serif font, right? There's no extra lines on top or on the bottom of the art, but do you see how sort of decorative it is? I don't want to choose that because at a small scale reading, that's actually going to look pretty tough to read. Now I'm going to try it anyway just in case, but usually it's not so bad, but to me, when the font should be something you don't notice, but that you love. So I'm actually going to go back. I saw one in there that actually looked pretty cool. Ubuntu. I don't know. I must have added that at some point. What's this? I kind of like that. So here, so I already added it. So let's go down and choose Ubuntu. All right. It's a little cramped. I don't know. I don't really like it. It was probably good for whatever I was using, but this one looks nice and clean. Let's try Nunito. You notice, okay, I kind of like that. Another one that is pretty popular, we use it in AbTab a lot, is Open Sans. It's a pretty nice, sort of good-looking one. I don't think I'm going to use that, though. It doesn't feel AbTab-ish. So let's see here. Okay. I think I'm going to stick with that. That looks good to me. Nunito for now. So I'm going to take all of this that isn't a heading, and we're going to change it into nonito. Now this is a footer, so that, notice how it didn't select that. That's fine. So here I'm going to take all that I can. It's actually not selecting any of the footers, so I'll have to go into those secondly. That's okay. Now you can also get fancy and use a different font for the footer if you want. I'm not going to do that, and I'll explain why. I'm going to make a design choice. James wrote this as a reference guide, which I appreciated. However, I feel like the user, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these footers and I'm going to probably make them into what we call breakout boxes, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So here is, I need to do my text color. I need to do my Josefin Sans. Again, so now, okay, this is a good example. Remember how this, so here's my title. So the hierarchy goes title, and then if you want to have a subtitle here, you can. In fact, I might even change this to one at a time is the name. And then we do something like this, where this would be, to show you what a subtitle would be, best of X, success and failure. So that now I've shortened it to where this chunk is called one at a time. And so let's go ahead and do back down here. Because this is title 1, subtitle, this is, or sorry, heading 1. This is a totally new heading. So this has nothing to do with examples. This is examples of play. Now, if I wanted to make this a heading, so this is heading 1. If I wanted to make this a heading, I would make this heading 2. You never want to have 2 headings back to back. There needs to be some text between here. So I'm not going to do that. But I just wanted to give you an example of how I was choosing these. So if there's any other headings that go under this, you just follow the hierarchy. Heading 2, heading 3. There is also heading 4 and heading 5 on there. But we're going to go ahead and go down here. And because this is its own new heading, it's actually going to be heading 1. I'll go to my Josefin Sans, select my color. There's another bracketed text. We typically also highlight this yellow so that you know that it's bracketed, because at a glance, you might not see this in a doc. So if you're like, oh, hey, I'm ready to share this, highlight that yellow. And we're going to go over that in what we call the stoplight method in a different video. But that is so that you, at a glance, go, oh, there's something unfinished in here, so you don't accidentally share it. So then let's go ahead. We have a couple more here. So notice I'm going to change it to the heading first, because you notice how it defaults. Oh, actually, no. This is actually a great example. This is heading 1. This would be heading 2, because these are games that kind of fall under that, this heading. So now this is heading 1. This is heading 2. You notice it's not a big difference, but it does make a difference. It's also going to make a difference when I use the different... Here you go. And then I have to change my body text here, because we didn't do that. So that, and I'm going to go ahead and change it to nonito. And you notice, again, it's not, oh wait, that's actually the footer. So you notice it's not like a major difference, but it does make a difference. It does make a, I think it makes a difference. Now, the other thing is that we're, I'm going to show you how to make a breakout box and what I'm talking about. So you see how this footer here has a 1 and then this goes to 1? What I like to do is, and I'm going to leave, I've never done this before. I've never left a footnote number on a breakout box, but I'm going to. Here's how you make a breakout box in a document. It's really simple. You basically just insert a table that is 1 box, and there's your breakout box, okay? So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to take this all, and I'm actually going to put this here. Now, usually breakout boxes have titles. So I'll say willing, so willing to keep rolling. Now, again, you can vary. So like in some cases, you can have different fonts for the breakout box as well. So let's try that. Let's try one of those other ones maybe that I didn't like Ubuntu. That might work for me for a font because it's totally different. Hang on one second. Okay. So what I was saying is, for a breakout box, I kind of want it to look different, right? So what I'll also maybe do, see how cramped this looks? There are some other things you can do with line spacing. So like this is single line space. Maybe my breakout boxes, I want it to be 1.15. That looks a little better. Maybe I want it to be 1.5. That's a little too much for me. So I'll probably do 1.15 for a breakout box. Now that pops out a little bit, right? So this is also, if you notice, all the rest of the fonts are 10, and for some reason this was 11. All the fonts were 11 and this was 10. So notice how this looks smaller than this. So here's what I'll do. There we go. Now you see how that looks a little different? Now, for tabletop terrors, we use a lot of red and stuff like that. So what I'll do, if I make this red, this breakout box red, same sort of red that I'm using, you notice what I do is I right click, I go to table properties, and then I can do either a border or the cell background color. What I want to do is the cell background color, and I'm going to choose that same red that I've been using. Now immediately, that's hard to read. But what if I take this and make the actual text white now? Now it pops out. Maybe too much. Maybe that's a little too much. So maybe I go back to my properties and I tone down. Maybe my breakout boxes are this darker red. That's a little better. You know what I mean? And you can kind of play with that. Now, again, I haven't decided as to whether or not that's too much, but I'm just showing you formatting. So James might come in here and go, no, I really want these to be footnotes, specifically footnotes. So what I was doing was, like he put a 1 there, he put a 2 here. So what I would do is I would put a breakout box after each of the things that they address. Now in this case, maybe it's too much. Maybe having a breakout box after one sentence is going to look really silly. So if I put a breakout box here, and another trick is you can just take your hard work, highlight it until the whole box is highlighted like this, and then you can hit edit, copy, edit, paste, and it'll basically put it in there. Now there's a footer there that's messing it up. Don't worry about that. That's because there's a footer here. It's breaking it. But what you can see is now I can just take this box if I need another one and just paste this new stuff in here. Now, so we go, actually here, if you right click and you click paste without formatting, it'll get it closer to what you had. All right, and this one says the avoidance of addressing which dice will be rolled, what will be rolled, and what constitutes. So I don't know what I would put here. Title. Now, a couple other things I want to show you, and then we'll end this. Because again, you could see you can kind of mess around with this endlessly. But we're getting there. There's actually 2 more things I wanted to talk to you about. One of them is if you make the page 2 columns. It can do a lot of things, but it also makes it a little easier to read. You notice RPG books are usually split into 2 or 3 columns, so reading a Google Doc straight across is fine. It's just like reading a paper, but if you want to give it a little more of a published feel, one of the things you can do is insert, and then I believe it's, oh God, how do you do it? I haven't done it in a while. Format columns. That's what it is. Format columns. You can choose 2 or 3. So now I'm just going to do this. Let me check. I'm going to select the very beginning here just in case. Format columns. and then select this. Boom. And again, while it's not like, oh, actually here. Well, what I was going to say is, while it's not amazing, it still looks just a little more formatted, a little easier to read. So then here's the other thing I'm going to do. We have the view that I'm on right now, and this is usually per user. So if I do this, yours could be set differently. I'm going to go to print layout. And by choosing print layout, see how this page appears? So if I go view, print layout, if it's not on print layout, it's one long web page. If you go view, print layout, ta-da, now I see how much will fit on the page. I can also number these pages as well. So you can do insert page numbers, and then it'll show you where it's going to insert them, either on the top, or the bottom. So I want to do this. Boop. Okay. And now I have a page number here. You can also check what font your page number is. Let's use Open Sans for our page number. Actually, here, hold on. Oh, I guess I can't. How do I edit my page number? How do you do that? Why isn't it? That's weird. I think it's because I already have a footer here. Let me try down here. Let's go page numbers, more options. Header, footer, starting at page 1, show on first page. I thought you could change the font. I swear I have before. Aha! Okay, there we go. I just wasn't selecting the whole footer. So there I go, and then let's use Open Sans. Ta-da! Now, I don't know if that changed all of them. Okay, it did. Good. All right, and you see how this is kind of finicky. Like, you got to just kind of tinker with it. One final thing I'm going to do is, and you might not have this ready, don't use graphics you don't have access to, but one more thing that can really just make something look nice is if I insert an image, upload it from a computer. I have Tabletop Terra's logo, and I'll do just the logo by itself. And there you go. Now, images in here is super finicky. So just know that, like, if I mess with this, I can make it where it breaks the text, which means that I can, like, shift stuff around and it'll shift it. You can make it so that it is, you can wrap text. You can make it in line with text. So just tinker with that. But you notice how just adding a little graphic also makes it just pop a little bit. One other thing you're going to want to put in the footer, if I could edit it, there we go. There's probably a better way to do that. There we go. All right. So in the footer, I also want to put, let's see if it does this. Copyright. Yep. Copyright 2020 Tabletop Terrors. And you can do all kind of, see how this is, I can make this left justified. I can center this all. I can make it right justified. And there's different ways to mess with it. If I hold in space, it would center this. That's kind of a janky way to do it, because then if you change one thing, your whole thing's going to be off. And then, like, later I might put in, like, under this, I might put in, like, and I'll bracket this, like, Patreon logo or something like that. So yeah. That's formatting. That's a general basic idea of formatting. And you see already we're in a place where this document looks just a little better. And there's really no rules to it. Just whatever reads nicely, whatever looks good. And mess around with Google Docs. Like I said, there's plenty of fonts. Check out the headings. Check out splitting it into columns. But don't mess with any of this stuff until you have your work finished, because what you don't want is to try to format it perfectly, fit breakout boxes, and do all this kind of stuff, and then you add a paragraph, and then it breaks your formatting, and you're just stuck in that endless loop. So that's it, patrons. This is a Workbench. I hope that this was helpful, and look out for this Tabtarian chunk fully formatted. I would sit and do it. I really don't have time to do it. I actually have to do some other work. Not fun work either. But you will see this formatted document probably live when we put our Patreon live. When we go live with our Patreon. Anyway, let's finish with a Tabtarian toast. May you mend the first break. May you kill the first snake. And may you conquer everything you undertake. Sláinte.